Want to know what's annoying? Buying plants and then have them wither away into nothingness. These ones are designed to be grown in tanks like yours and will thrive considering you give them the right environment. In this video, we are going to go over the hardiest plants to grow. They don't need all the CO2, fertilizers, crazy lighting. They're that robust, and we're going to go over a bunch of stemmed plants, a bunch of attachable plants, and a bunch of mosses. Each of these are really easy to grow, great for beginners. First up, we're going to go into our stemmed plants, mainly because they are probably the prime mover when it comes to removing nitrates from your tank. First and foremost, my all-time favorite stemmed plant, Abulia. Abulia is amazing because it has this sort of fan-like, almost feathery, light leaf. Awesome beginner plant. The only thing you need to be careful of is if you plant too many of them in a bundle and there's too much pressure on that bundle, they'll start to rot away at the bottom. Second, Elodea. It's a deep green or fluoro green colored plant that has a really long stem, and it's actually designed to grow in water systems rather than most aquarium plants which you get in the hobby, which are actually designed to be like partially out of the water and partially in. Elodea is fully designed to be fully submerged, which is why it grows like a weed. That being said, Elodea is an absolute classic. It brings that real green coloration, and it's a great entry-level stemmed plant to add to your tank. Stemmed plant number 3, Ludwigia. I'm talking about your basic green Ludwigia that you can get from the store that's a bit wider leafed and is quite a lot more robust. You can also get variations that have got like orange colors or orange hues underneath the leaves, or you can get Ludwigia that's like a deep red the whole way through. So it can help sort of break up that green coloration that most aquarium plants have. It adds a red element. It's still just as strong growing, but it's not as effective at removing the nitrates, and it's not as faster growing as our basic Abulia or Elodea. So when you come to stemmed plant number 3, you're looking for more finesse. The one thing that I absolutely adore about Ludwigia is when it grows under the water, it reaches for the surface quite fast. But once it grows above the surface of the water, the entire shape of the plant changes. Ludwigia is one of the plants that is grown both immersed and immersed, which means under and above the water. So once it goes above the water, its leaves are more adaptable to atmospheric CO2, and it tends to grow bunchier, and the leaves are a lot more round in shape, and it just has a whole nother aesthetic. So it's like you're buying 2 plants in one. Stemmed plant number 4, and this is one that I really get into with my guppy tanks, is a plant called Hornwort. Provides habitat, sucks out nitrates, looks pretty cool when done right as well, and the guppies seem to love it. Any sort of floating fish, tetras will love it. Everything like that that's small-mouthed and needs protection from larger predators, perfect. If you're wanting Hornwort for its, fish breeding properties and nitrate sucking properties, just plonk it in your tank. If you're wanting Hornwort for it to look really good, still has those same properties, but you're gonna have to trim it, replant it, trim it, replant it, which means lots and lots and lots of Hornwort. Might be your thing, not really my thing. If you want to do it like that, just root it in your substrate. It's such a versatile plant. Hornwort is great. And the last stemmed plant on my list is called Rotala. Rotala is another one that I absolutely love because of its red coloration. You can get it in greens, reds, ambers as well. It thrives the most when you've got it in a high-tech tank. So good lighting, good CO2, good fertilizers. It changes into a totally different looking plant in those environments. In a lower tech environment, it slows down quite a lot in terms of the growth, but as long as you've got nice bright lighting like I do, like Illumagic Pixels, you're gonna be okay, and that plant's gonna grow quite fast too. I find that it will grow all the way up, and then once it reaches the surface of the water, it doesn't do what most other plants do, which is try and extend above the waterline. It will just sort of bunch over and go along the waterline, just like Hornwort does as well. So this is another plant that if you get it growing well, you gotta trim and trim and trim, replant, replant, replant. But that's the best thing about stemmed plants. You can just create more and more and more plants as long as you get them growing well. So that's our starter. 5 really awesome stemmed plants that you should try because they are absolutely bulletproof and they won't just wither away into nothingness. Next up is mounted plants. This is a fan favorite, Java Fern. I've had Java Fern in tanks with no filter, no heater, no light, and it still grows somehow. So Java Fern, if you've got it, attach it. It's so worth putting a little bit of effort in to attach it to a rock or a piece of driftwood because it will grow exactly how you want it. Number 2, Anubias. Everybody knows Anubias because it is such a staple in this hobby. It's sort of the first higher priced plant that you go and buy because it is slightly more expensive. It's very slow growing when it's not in a CO2 environment, but you plant it onto a piece of driftwood or a rock and it just stays there in your tank the entire time. And it becomes this beautiful bonsai looking, dark colored plant. Now, obviously, if you've got fish prone to biting or eating your plants, the large giant Anubias is one of the only plants that they tend to leave alone. The last mounted plant on this list is called Bolbitis. Now, I think Bolbitis for me is my second favorite mountable plant on planet Earth because it's got that dark green foliage and it looks very muchly like a fern. And that fern look, when planted from, say, under the underside of a cave, coming out of the cave, just looks amazing. It's this sort of deep foresty and mossy sort of feel that Bolbitis gives that not really many other aquarium plants can give. It's an unpolished but still beautiful addition to your aquarium, and I think Bolbitis should be on every single person's list. The whole point of this list is you don't need CO2 for these plants, and Bolbitis will thrive. These mosses can be grown in non-CO2 environments. The list, however, is small because lots of advanced mosses that have that extra look or aesthetic to them or are more rare, they do require CO2. I have left the moss off this list for another video, another time. First moss on this list, you probably already guessed it and you probably already have it in your tank somewhere, Java Moss. It's the lazy fish keeper's best friend because if you leave Java Moss in a tank and then you get lazy and oh, I'm not gonna water change today, maybe I'll push it off to halfway through next week. That Java Moss is going to love you for it. Because the nitrates will creep up in your tank, that Java Moss is going to soak up those nitrates and grow quite fast. That's the reason why it's such a lazy fish keeper's best friend. The only other reason why I love Java Moss is it adds that first fundamental moss look to your tank. You can sort of just poke it onto a piece of driftwood or squirrel it away in a hole in a rock and it will grow out really, really well. You buy it to help with fish fry, so raising up your babies, and with shrimp breeding as well, because it creates a lot of bacteria in between all the pieces of moss. Now, this next moss is probably the only moss that I've had successfully grow in my aquariums, except for Christmas moss. Looks similar to Bolbitis in a way. It's called Subwassertang moss. Because of the dark green coloration and the flow along the edge of the moss and the fact that it's one solid piece, not all of these fan pieces, means that it's so unique. And the other unique thing about it is it will grow in a non-CO2 tank as well. So all of these things that sort of turn it into an amazing contender for a low-tech tank are also the reason I love it so much in my high-tech tanks. It just seems to look amazing every single time. So it needs to be in a low flow area in a tank that's got decent lighting, and Subwassertang will sit on the bottom of your tank and thrive there the most. So you gotta make sure that light actually penetrates all the way to the moss and isn't being covered by something else. So these plants, guys, will all be effective in non-CO2 aquariums. Let me know in the comments below which of these plants is your favorite and you're gonna try next. And as always, hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this one.